Okay, guys, so in this video, we're going to talk about location or positioning. And really, it comes down to three things or three topics where we talk about percentiles, quartiles, and deciles. And the way of thinking about this is, I don't know if you guys remember, taking the SATs or the PSSAs, where you're taking a test and they tell you you fall within the 87th percentile. Um, you're in the third quartile, you're in the eighth decile. So what this looks at is it's looking at a percentage, but how we look at this actual percentage, and I'm going to try to show you this if hopefully it works. Um, the way of looking at this is if we have, um, if we look at our curve, right? So let's say we look at our curve. Um, and the way of looking at it is from 0 to 100%. So when someone says to you that you fall within the 87th percentile, that means that you fall within, or that only 13% of individuals did better than you, and you did better than 87%, right? So that's percentiles. Percentiles are measured in each percent. So 52nd, 53rd, 54th, 87th, 98th, 99th percentiles. Um, the other way of looking at this is when we talk about deciles. And deciles is another way we can actually convert deciles to percentiles if they're in the first decile is actually 10%. The second decile is 20%. The third decile is 30%. The fifth decile is 50%, and so on and so forth. So it's another way, once again, if we say you fall within the third decile, that means that you fall within 30%. So you have done as good as 30%, but 70% of individuals have done better than you if we're looking at like a score or a test or something along those lines. So it's just another way of saying, where you fall. And then finally, the last one that we're going to talk about, and we're going to actually do in Excel, but it is also related to what we call quartiles. And obviously, quartiles represent every 25th percent. So the first quartile is equal to 25%. The second quartile is 50% because it's the center of our data. The fourth quartile is 75%, and then the fourth quartile is going to be your 100%. So quartile 1 would mean you fall in this area. Quartile 2 would mean you fall in this area. Quartile 3 means you fall in this area. And quartile 4 means you fall underneath the curve. Okay. So just the kind of a relationship. Now, once again, quartiles can be converted into percentiles. And actually, if you think about it, quartile 2 and quartile 4 can actually fall under deciles. So quartile 2, which is 50%, is equal to the 5th decile or the 50th percentile. 100% is 100 percentile. It could be the 10th decile, or it could be obviously the 4th quartile. Okay, so this is just kind of understanding location, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at where our data falls, or specific points, like what represents the 25th percentile or the first quartile or the 87th percentile. So we're going to take a look at those. So let me go ahead and get rid of this, and I'm just going to close this up, and we're going to start working here with how we calculate these things. So let's say that we want to know what the and we'll once again work through the different ones. We'll talk about the percentile. So let's say that we want to know what the 83rd percentile is of our data. Okay, so the way of doing this is we can use our formulas, and I'm going to use age once again. So I'm going to formulas, and I'm going to go to my statistical, and I'm going to go to the P percentiles. A, B, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and we have percentiles. Now here's the difference. Inclusive is going to report a number that actually exists, and exclusive is going to be the actual percentile. So we're actually going to do exclusive because once again, inclusive is going to be a piece of data that we have, but we want to be a little bit more accurate. So we're going to click percentile exclusive. Now, the first one, it says array, returns the K percentile. So this is going to be the actual numbers, and we don't want to highlight, we just want to highlight the data. So we want to find the percentile of what location represents the, I can't remember what percentile I said, but let's just choose 87. But when we're dealing with it, we want to use decimal, so 0.87 or the 87th percentile. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click enter, and what this says is that the 87th percentile is represented by 57.47 years of age. Okay. If I wanted to know what the third percentile is, I can do, and I'm going to do equals percentile exclusive. I'm going to highlight my data, and since I want the third percentile, I'm going to go ahead, actually we're going to have to take another step and click up there and hit comma so we can actually do the percentile, and I'm going to do 0.03 because once again it's decimal form, and I'm going to hit enter. And the number that represents that is 26.43. So the third percentile is represented by 26.43 years of age. Okay. So percentiles tell us, what represents or what's represented. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to use quartiles here in the future. So what I want to do is, and I'll actually get back to using the pen, but in a future video. But what I want to do is move on to, once again, deciles. Now, deciles do not have, so if we go to our formulas, if we go to D, you'll notice we do not have any deciles. So in Excel purposes, we actually have to convert deciles to percentiles. So if we want to know what age represents our 80th percentile, or our 8th decile, or 80th percent, we have to say, okay, 8th decile is equal to 80%. So I'm going to figure out by using percentile exclusive, highlight my data, and once again, instead of just typing in 8, I'm going to click up here, hit comma, and do 0.8 because it's 80% or the 8th decile, and I'm going to hit enter. And that is represented by 55 years of age. Okay, so once again, with deciles, if we say first decile, you're going to use the 10th percentile. If we say 7th decile, we're going to convert that to the 70th percentile. Okay. So once again, what that means is if we want to say that if this is representative of the 80th percentile, we're saying 80% of our individuals are 55 years of age or younger. Here we're saying 3% of our of the car buyers are age 26.43 or younger. 87% of the car purchasers are 57.47 years of age or younger. So it's going from the far left of our curve from 0 to that percentile. Okay. And then finally, we're going to talk about quartiles. Now, quartiles, they're going to actually become important in the next follow-up video, which is dealing with talking about the 5 important points, and we're actually going to call it a box plot. Now, we don't have the capabilities of doing a box plot, but I'm going to draw one for you by hand so you can kind of see what it represents. But here we do have a formula for quartiles. So if we want to know what the first quartile represents, well, I guess I should go to the formulas here, and I can go statistical, and I'm going to go to quartiles. Now, quartiles are going to be slightly different than percentiles. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, and once again, we're going to do exclusive, so we can be pretty precise. So I'm going to click on it. The array is going to be the number, so I'm going to highlight age. And for quartile, they only want one of 4 answers. They either want, I guess 5, they want 0, which is going to be your minimum value. 1 will be the first 25%. 2 would be the median or the 50th percent, right, because the center of our data. is the median, and that is exactly the 50th percentile or the second quartile. The third quartile, which is 75%, or the fourth quartile, which is 100%, or in this case, that it's going to result the maximum value that we have. So what I'm going to do is for quartiles, I want to see what the first quartile. So I'm going to type in 1, and I'm going to hit enter. So what we have here is that the first quartile, or 25% of our car buyers, are 40 years of age or younger. Okay, so notice the representation, how percentiles, deciles, and quartiles all are included, or how they are compared. Now, I want you to remember, just for the function and formulas, we are using exclusive. If it does ask for you to report a number that exists, then we want to use the quartile or percentile inclusive. But once again, for accuracy purposes, that's why we're doing the exclusive. If you have any questions on these, please feel free to reach out. I'm going to create another video where we're actually going to talk about how we use quartiles to create box plots.